Pope Benedict wrapping up his historic visit to Cuba. He delivered a message of peace and hope during a mass in Havana's Revolution Plaza. The Pope then met face-to-face with Fidel Castro before his departure for Rome. That meeting is now being described as very cordial, lasted about a half an hour. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Linda Yu.
And I'm Ravi Bates, while Alan Krzyzewski has today off. Now, some Chicagoans made the pilgrimage to the Cuban island nation to hear the Pope speak, and Cuba was his second stop on a tour that has also taken him to Mexico. ABC 7 investigative reporter Chuck Goudie live now in Havana with more on this historic day. Chuck?
Ravi, the Latin American trip is all but over this afternoon here in Cuba. When you get the Pope and the Castro brothers together, you can bet there will be news, and that certainly has been the case all day today here in Havana. It is still blustery along the Cuban seashore, but it was gorgeous this morning at Revolution Plaza for the Mass that began at 9 a.m. sharp. The Pope Mobile, one of the world's most famous vehicles, driving through a city where most people can't even afford a car. But Cubans weren't cheering the Mobile, they were saluting the white-haired man inside, who had already prayed for Cuba's political prisoners and made strong calls for Cuba to allow more religious and individual freedom.
Well, can you feel? This is the first time in my life that I see the Pope, especially from me. I can't even compare it.
The Mass on Cuba's Revolution Plaza, beneath the metal stare of the nation's revolutionary heroes, was intended for Cuban residents who are still under communist rule. The government gave them the day off. But there were Americans here as well, in tour groups and on their own, and some from Chicago.
It was a big opportunity to be here, to share with all the people of Cuba, all the Catholics in Cuba, be with the Pope, pray for Cuba.
We need to make peace between our two countries. It's been too long. It really has. We're neighbors. We should be good neighbors.
Por otra parte, hay otros que interpretan mal esta.
The Pope's politically charged homily was unusually pointed at discrediting Cuba's continuing strong-arm rule. Dictator President Raul Castro was at the Mass. Many in a spirited and energized crowd of several hundred thousand took communion from priests scattered across the plaza. After Mass, the pontiff was driven to a private meeting requested by ex-President Fidel Castro, who was apparently too ill to go to the Pope.
Il Papa ha spiegato un poco il senso.
This afternoon, a Vatican spokesman characterized the 30-minute meeting with a frail but keenly alert Fidel Castro as casual, during which Castro asked the Pope to recommend books about the new Catholic liturgy. Castro's wife was at the meeting, and they were joined by two sons. Hugo Chavez, the Venezuelan president, was not at the meeting, did not see the Pope, and won't see the Pope before Papal One, the Pope's jet, lifts off for Rome very shortly. According to a Vatican spokesman, Mr. Chavez did not want to upstage what was a Cuban event. Chavez, of course, here in Havana for treatment of cancer. He had been undergoing some radiation for the last several days. Reporting live from Havana, Chuck Goudie, ABC 7 News. Ravi?
Well, Chuck, a very pointed set of remarks from the Pope. Did you get a sense that his message really was resonating with those who were attending that Mass?
Well, there were two sets of people at that Mass, Ravi. The largest group up front, certainly it did resonate with them. They were the faithful Catholics. They participated heavily in Mass. Those in the back, any number of people, thousands probably, didn't even pay much attention to the Mass. It was a day off of work for them. Some of them, we were told, had to show up in order to receive a paycheck, although there's some disputing that apparently. But whether it resonated with the Cuban government at large is really what matters here, and the Pope is hopeful that he will see some movement by Cuban authorities over these next few months to loosen up the very stringent rules that people here have to live by. Of course, we already heard from a Cuban official yesterday who said that political change is not on their agenda.
All right, Chuck Goudie reporting from Havana. Thanks so much, Chuck.
Hey, if you like that video, be sure to subscribe to our ABC 7 Chicago YouTube channel.